everyone, welcome back to the Apex Archives. Today we're going to be taking a look at a Russian capture Kar98k. Alrighty, so for you today we've got a Kar98k, German World War II produced rifle that was captured by the Russians and has some unique features and markings on it that shows it's been captured by the Russians and reworked by them. Alrighty, so to identify your rifle as a Russian capture Kar98k, the first thing we're going to look for are the markings on the side of the gun that show its German origin. So here on the left side of the rifle we can look for those distinct markings that show that it is a German World War II manufactured Kar98k. We've got that oh so obvious Nazi war eagle with the swastika, then we've got a serial number, another proof mark, and then a Model 98 showing it's a Model 98 Mauser. On the top of the gun here we also have a few more markings. We have another Waffenamt, a BYF factory marking, an X, and the X actually signifies that it's a Russian capture rework gun, and then a 44 for the year of manufacture. So a lot of times when you're seeing World War II German guns being talked about, you're gonna hear the word Waffenamt mentioned a lot, and a Waffenamt is simply a factory marking that was put onto the gun as it's made its way through its production process and was inspected by various inspectors down the line, and they would add their own marking signifying that the gun was inspected at a certain stage, a certain part was inspected, so on and so forth, and it passed. And on German World War II guns, those are called Waffenamts, and they are small eagles with a code underneath them to signify factories, inspectors, so on and so forth. Now, the other thing that we'll look for on these guns is standard World War II German markings. So we can look on several different parts, such as the side of the receiver here, on the side of the rear sight leaf, you can see there's another Waffenamt, and then moving forward, there's Waffenamts on the barrel bands and various parts, including the bolt safety, and on the, not on the butt plate on this one, but sometimes in the butt plate you'll find Waffenamts with the year of manufacture as well. Now generally on German K98Ks there will be some sort of marking on the buttstock to indicate that it is German. On this one I don't really see anything on here which suggests that it may be a reproduction stock or a stock they used to, rework this gun. Generally on the left side here we would see some sort of marking indicating that it's German, whether it be a war eagle with a swastika or it be an H for an army, an L for Luftwaffe, so on and so forth, but there's nothing on this specific firearm. Now on the bottom of the rifle here we have some more markings on the magazine well and body. Up here you can see that there are more serial numbers. This is a non-matching serial numbered gun. It has been remarked by the Russians, which we'll talk about just in a minute, but the parts on here, the original German parts, are not matching. On the bottom here we can see that there's actually a Waffenamt part that's part of that screw, and then there's some other War Eagle markings a little bit below, and those are actually Imperial German War markings. So you can see that a lot of different parts were used on this gun from different time periods throughout the German manufacture of the Kar98k. All right, so we've identified it as a German Kar98k. Now we need to show you why it is a Russian capture. So that first thing that we're going to look for is going to be that X marking on the top of the receiver. That indicates that it was reworked by the Russians. Another indicator is that the rifle is really nicely blued, and it appears to have been re-blued by the Russians at some point when they refinished this gun. Another indicator of that is actually, if you see here on the bolt, sometimes during the bluing process, if things are not done correctly is subjective, but sometimes on blued parts, you'll notice that they'll take on sort of a pinkish reddish hue, and that a lot of times indicates it's been refinished over its original finish. So you can actually see on the bolt here, there is a piece of metal that's been re-blued, and it's got a kind of a red patina to it. So that kind of helps us indicate that it was refinished at some point. The last thing that gives us an indication that this was a Russian capture and it's been reworked is the fact that it has been force matched to the gun. So on the left side of the gun here we have a serial number 10705, and then on several other parts of the gun, even though they had serial numbers that were non-matching, they used an electro pencil to force match the gun to make it matching. So for example here on the bottom of the trigger guard / magwell, there is a serial number 1758 that doesn't match to the gun, but then there is another marking here that's been electro penciled in, which actually also doesn't match to the gun, but normally they would be matched to the gun. So for example here, 10705 on the side of the receiver, the bolt has an electro pencil 10705, same on the safety and rear bolt piece mechanism. A couple of aesthetic notes on this rifle. It's got a standard K98K profile with that German World War II style buttstock. Got the upper hand guard that doesn't match all the way over the sleeve, unlike the Yugo ones, which the wood piece goes all the way up towards the receiver section. This one doesn't have a front sight hood because those get lost pretty often, but you know, generally you'd see that on the K98Ks. And then it's got a sling mounting point here, and you will notice that there is no bolt takedown, which indicates that either it's a late war rifle or it's a different manufactured stock. We're gonna do a very basic field strip on the Russian Capture K98K now. First thing you're gonna make sure of is that the gun is not on safe. So as you can see here, the safety is on safe, pointing in the right direction. We'll flip it all the way to the left, allowing us to open up the action and pull the bolt to the rear. We'll make sure that there's no ammunition in the magazine well or in the chamber, and then we'll open up this little lock here, which allows us to remove the bolt. So that's a very basic field strip. If you'd like to break this gun down further, what you can do is push down on these barrel band springs, move the barrel bands forward, remove the upper handguard, and then on the bottom of the firearm here, you can see that there's several screws that you can loosen to take out the magazine well and body and remove the action from the buttstock. To put the bolt back in, we simply return it into its original position, just like we took it out. The locking mechanism will click forward, and then to return it fully forward without any ammunition in it, you'll need to push down on the magazine follower spring and then lock it into position. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more like it, make sure you hit like and subscribe. And you can also find out more information on this particular K98K, as well as a lot of other interesting firearms at the apexarchives.com. It's not the apexarchives.com, it's just apexarchives.com. Check us out, we'll leave a link down below, and you can see a lot more interesting guns like this, more in-depth photos and information. And thanks for watching, and we hope to see you in the next one.